Okay, so we are continuing with simplifying rational expressions. Rational expressions are simply fractions. So, simplifying rationals. By the end of today, now everyone is doing this. You're going to be doing page 654, numbers 2 to 32 even, and 42 and 44. Yes, that is what's on the board, and you need to do that over the weekend. Okay? Especially if you were not in class today. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and I'm going to do a few examples. But basically, for all of these, we factor and cancel. Most of this chapter comes down to that. Factor and cancel. So, here's my first example. If I have 6x plus 9 all over 12. Now, like we said, this is inappropriate. I cannot do that. That is wrong. Okay? I can never cancel through addition and subtraction. So that's not going to work. That's why I'm going to factor. So first I factor. I look at the denominator, there's nothing to factor. I look at the numerator, what can I factor?
3.
A 3. That leaves what?
3, that leaves a 3x.
No. 2x plus 3. Now I can go ahead and cross cancel my 3 and 12.
1 and 4.
1 and 4. So now I get 2x plus 3 all over 4. Pretty much every problem comes down to that fact. Before I do the next example, let's recall something. We just talked about something like this. If I'm multiplying, what do I do with these exponents?
You add them.
I add them. So that would be the answer there. And if I were dividing,
You subtract.
I subtract them. So 4 minus 3 is 1, so I get that. But what if it were backwards? What if I had x over 7 and then I had x to the 15 down here? When I subtract, what do I get?
A negative.
A negative. So what would be my next step?
To make it... Oh, 1 over...
Move it down.
Yeah.
So 1 over x to the 8th. Good job, Justin. Now, a little trick here would be to do your subtraction. Whichever has... See, there's more x's down here. So we go ahead and we would just put our answer down in the denominator. And that would be fine. Alright, I'll put our next example over here. And let's say we have 2m minus 5 over 6m minus 15.
Take a 3 out.
Of the denominator, yes, you're right, Evan. So factor out a 3, we get 2m minus 5. And what about the numerator? Nothing I can factor, right? So I find it helpful that when something like this happens to remember that I could count this whole thing as a group. So I'm going to throw it in parentheses just so I remember that. Now what cancels?
2m minus 5.
Now does this become a 0?
No.
No. When I cancel it would become a 1. So my answer is 1/3. I'll give you a moment to catch up. Do we have the recall written down already? Okay, so I can go ahead and erase that and get ready the next example. Let's do a harder example this time. This one is a trick, and you need to... This trick comes up a lot throughout the chapter. And Evan is hinting that we can factor out a what right here?
A 2.
A 2. Now, he's right, but there's a little trick here. I want you to notice what sign is in front of this m?
1.
A 1, okay? Now, when I factor out a 2, what would end up here? A negative m, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do it wrong. So I don't want you to copy this down. And if I factor, well, it's kind of wrong. I factor out a 2, which in and of itself is not wrong, and this is what I get. But do you see that, boy, those are awfully close, right? In fact, look, this 2 is negative, that 2 is positive, this m is positive, this m is negative. So what I should have done is when I see that these are, I want the highest exponent of my variable to be positive, or my highest coefficient of my variable to be positive. So I want this to be a positive m. So instead of factoring out a 2, I'll factor out a negative 2. So my m minus 2 stays the same with there. I factor out a negative 2, and I'm going to get negative 2 plus m. Okay, and if I do my quick check, I would see I get back my 4 plus or minus 2m. Now, this is close if I just take one more step. So I have m minus 2, I have negative 2, and then if I just change the order right here, now these are the same, aren't they? And I can cancel, and I get 1 over 2. Now, yes, there's a negative 2 right there, but we're going to move that negative up to the numerator. Okay? Negative's in the numerator. Okay? So that's doing it correct. I'm just going to do 2 more examples and then set you loose on doing some problems on your own. These would be multiple factoring problems. So if I had a squared minus 5ab plus 6b squared, so this is a 6, that's a b, all over a squared plus 2ab minus 8b squared. Yes, this is a little tricky to factor because we have b's and a's in the mix. Does anyone have a thought what my numerator would be?
What do you mean by
The numerator.
Factoring?
Factor the numerator.
Well, would you have a or a?
A and an A. And then I have a b squared, so I'm going to have a b here and a b here.
Would you have 1 and 6?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 and 6.
Minus 6 plus 1.
No, but you have to have
This is a positive, so they have to be the same sign. What about 2 and 3?
There we are.
All right, and they would both be negative, wouldn't they?
Yes.
And that was good job taking that hint from that plus. Now this one's a minus, so I'm going to have opposite in sign in my denominator. So one of these is plus and one of these is minus.
4 and
Minus 4 plus 2. Wait, no. Plus 4 minus 2.
Yep, plus 4 minus 2. Okay, does anything cancel?
No.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we
2
just
and 4?
did this.
This?
Oh, yeah.
See, I canceled the entire group.
So then it would be 8 minus 3b all over a plus 4b.
Yes, that's correct. This is my final answer. Holding.
So, Mr. Kane, what do you think about math?
Yeah, so every problem, regardless of how tricky it is, comes down to factor and cancel. Factor and cancel. All right. Hopefully we remember this type of factoring, where we have a common thing. Let's see here. Yes, let's do this one. 2x over 3x squared plus 3x. Okay, now we practiced this week earlier, so hopefully you see. So this is our next example. This is what, example 4? Example 5. What can I factor in the numerator?
2x.
2x, good job. And what do I have remaining?
X.
The 1.
Plus 1, good job not having your
Why
nothing
would
yet.
why would it just not be x?
Because when I do 2 divide 2, I don't get a 0, I get a 1.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I got there.
Okay,
Thank you.
and in the denominator, I can factor out 3x,
And you get x
Plus
1.
1. So what cancels?
X plus 1.
X plus 1's cancel, and
The x's.
the x's cancel,
2 over 3.
2 over 3.
Or 0.75.
Now, don't be surprised if occasionally you get something where nothing cancels. That's certainly possible, that nothing cancels. But as a hint, since this is a section on reducing, essentially, if you get a situation where nothing cancels, you probably factored wrong, because they're trying to get you to do that. Can I go on? Yes. Okay, I can go on, because I said so.
Here's a question of ability.
let's try last example. Aren't you glad this is the last chapter? It's almost worth
Yes.
celebrating. Last chapter.
Are you
This
serious?
is the last chapter
What
of
are we
your
gonna
book.
do when we're done?
Review, because we need it. Okay, anyways. But, no, we are not watching movies. Okay, let's factor the denominator.
Almost.
Factor the denominator. What do we get?
X plus 1.
5.
5. And,
X plus 5.
okay, so we get 2 of those. That's fine. And the numerator.
2x.
Let's get our x. Now, luckily, we only have 2 options for this 5, right? 1 and 5. Since this is a 9, I'm thinking something close to 10 is what I need. So I get a 5 right here, and a 1. And this is a positive. Hold on. So plus 5, right? And a minus. So what cancels?
X plus 5.
Yep. Now, I'm not going to cancel both of them in the denominator. I just one of them. So our final answer, 2x minus 1 over x plus 5. And that's our reduced thing. Again, we are simplifying. We are not solving. Simplifying. Okay, turn in your books to page number 654.
Are we going to start working on our homework?
And yes, you are to be doing this. And this is due Monday. As in, everyone is doing it. Non-optional.
But it's not being taken for a grade, correct?
It is being taken for.